I'm here with Joe Fitzgerald, CFP, owner of the Fitzgerald Group, a very sought after financial planner out of Homedale. We live in the same neighborhood. That's how we know each other. Helped your mom buy a house. And now you're helping my daughter with my daughter's financial planning, which is awesome. So thank you so much for coming on this podcast. And I'm just going to jump right into it.
Awesome.
We're seeing a lot of wealth migration coming to Monmouth County over the last 5 years. And personally, for me, I've seen even more wealthier buyers coming into the area just based on the offers that I'm seeing and the financing terms. There's a lot of chatter that locals, their children, won't be able to buy a home when it's time for them to buy a home. However, with the right planning, because I do see parents buying homes for their children quite often, and even children buying homes for their parents, how can a parent plan for their children so that they can be in a position to either help them buy a home or outright buy them a home or just financially set up their children to be efficient financially to purchase a home in Monmouth County?
Awesome question, Amanda. It's a real question, so I'm going to give you a straight answer. It's absolutely going to happen that some people are going to get priced out over time. Monmouth County is blowing up. These prices are going up. I mean, across everywhere, but specifically in this area, as we know. Now, you can do one of two things, right? You could either get upset about it or you could plan for it, which I love what you said. So my thought process is to go in the direction of planning for it and being aware of it and figuring out, how am I going to win this game? How am I going to help my family? How am I going to put my kids in the right position or myself in the right position? And like most things in life, the further we can see out and the further we can plan for it, the more effective we're going to be. So you really need, if you think about it, what's kind of wild, when we were just getting started, right? In our 20s, you could go out, put 3.5% down with rates being in the 3%. You can have a mortgage payment still maybe close to renting and you can make it work. Nowadays, you look at where prices are at and rates still being high. If someone just getting started doesn't have significantly above average income, family help, already owned a piece of real estate, so they caught the appreciation wave,
Yeah.
or they had really good strategies in place already, like how are they going to get ahead? How are they ever going to wind up buying a place? So what I would suggest is that if it's an important goal to a parent out there and they want to make sure that their kids have the opportunity to stay in these towns, they got to be thinking about it in advance, almost like college education, right? It became a significant cost that people really needed to start planning for. Most people
Yeah.
can't just cut the check when the time comes. So
Right.
the same thing can be done for purchasing a home, and there's great strategies behind it.
What's one or two strategies behind that planning? Like that's a great point, right? Like parents always have had to plan for college, and now this is a second layer just because housing across the board has gotten very, very expensive. It hasn't kept up with income levels, right? Like
Yep.
the incomes are still the same. Housing is, like you said, you have to be a very high earner or have had to plan very well or have family help. What are one or two strategies that you see in the next 10 to 15 years being able to help someone help their child buy a home or position their child to be able to buy a home?
Awesome question, and one I'm passionate about. So one, I would say that the parents really need to sit back and say, hey, number one focus is, let me get myself into a strong financial position.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on finances, like don't ignore them. I'm not saying money's everything, but it impacts everything, right?
Yeah.
And you need a plan in place. Now, with that plan, when you have it in place, where I see a lot of people go wrong and what's kind of preached to us from the financial institutions is,
Mm-hmm.
first thing to do is what? Sign up for your 401k, maybe a SEP IRA. And I'm not saying those things are bad. I use those types of accounts
Mm-hmm.
myself. But one big problem with them is the money's tied up in financial jail until you're 60 years old.
Mm.
It's almost like playing Monopoly and just pass and go, right? We all learned at a very young age that's not the way to win the game.
Right.
Life throws you events, emergencies, and opportunities. So one thing I preach to all my clients, which is really an uncommon strategy, but intuitively people just get it and understand it, but it's not what's on like the front cover of like Money 101 magazine or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is keep money accessible. So as you're planning for these things like retirement or college education, opposed to thinking like in a halo of the only way I can retire is a 401k, or the only way I could put my kids through college is a 529 account. What if we can create strategies where you can uh, have your cake and eat it too, where
Yeah.
we can plan for retirement, but along the way, if we need to access capital, we can. We have money for our kids' future, but if the time comes where we decide that college education isn't the most impactful use of those funds, we can switch and perhaps use those funds for real estate. Or what if some clients we have where we've talked about it and they get really excited, where we've been able to help guide them to perhaps purchase a rental property, know that once their child is of age where they're looking for a place, either that property can become their first house,
Yeah.
or they'll have equity in that property and they could sell it, they could do a tax-free exchange, all these sorts
Yeah.
of factors.
Yep.
So you got to plan, and if you do, there's opportunity.
That is an exciting topic. I know a lot of very savvy people that they bought their kids a house when they were younger.
Yep.
They get rent on it, right? And they're like, when it's time for my son or my daughter to go to college, they can keep collecting rent on it. They can sell it and pay for their college. They could do whatever they want with it, but that is their nest egg.
Yep.
And that's how they're going to buy a house or start a business or go to college. And it's interesting that you say that, you know, some people are, I don't remember exactly what you said, but something to the effect of maybe you don't want to put all of your eggs in the college basket. And as the world's really changed over the last few years, like when we were in high school, you know, it was go to college,
Yep.
right? But now we live in a different world where it's not always go to college. Like it's go to college if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist.
Yep.
But if you want to be an entrepreneur, don't need to go to college. If you want to be a real estate investor, don't need to go to college. You just need really good coaches, mentors, and with the access to YouTube, ChatGPT, Claude, you could really teach yourself a lot. I have a client that's 16 and a half years old. He's 16 and a half. He owns 3 properties.
Wow.
Okay. He does not go to high school anymore. He graduated and he's in pilot school. And every once in a while, he's flying to Turks and Caicos here, there, and everywhere else. But he's like, what was I learning in high school?
Yep.
And his grandpa raises him, and he's like, he's just always there on the internet teaching himself things. And he's savvy. When I first talked to him, I thought he was, you know, probably in his 30s.
Yep.
And then I met him, I was like, how old are you?
Yep.
And he's like, guess. I'm like, 21? And his grandpa's like, no, lower. And then he's like, I'm 16 and a half. And I was like, that's crazy.
That's awesome.
But there's a lot of, I feel like that's a really like strong one-off, and he is a really smart kid. But there's a lot of instances where people, and I never did a 529B or whatever it is. Cause I'm like, I feel like that's so forcing you into a corner, and then you put all this money away and you're like, oh, my daughter wants to open a hair salon,
Yep.
right? Or be a business owner of some type. So I don't like having that restriction. Like you said, the 529B can restrict you.
Yep.
So
Totally agree.
yeah.
It's flexibility in a financial plan is so key, because we don't know what's going to pop up.
Yeah.
And why tie the money up to only be serving one purpose? Now, you know, there's times for every type of account, right? And there's some times where the 529s make a lot of sense, but in many cases, when I help explain it to clients and help them really think it through and realize what they feel may be more flexibility than really exists, there's some things now where you can roll it into a Roth or all these other factors, but there's still rules around the game that are being dictated to you by the government, and they could change the rules at any point. So
Yeah.
you know, we want to make sure we're in a good position. I loved what you said there too about the example of your client, 16 years old, buying real estate already, and sounds like, you know, and what do you call it? There's that book, not an outsider.
Outliers.
Outliers.
Yeah.
Yep, that sounds
Yeah.
like an outlier, but you know, I have 2 examples that I always think of, because I think there's a non-true statement out there that like, hey, the world's against us, you can't win. And you know, I've learned your story somewhat, and knowing how hard you've worked, Amanda, and a
Thank
great
you.
example of someone who's built up, and I could relate to that. And you know, I'll give you 2 client examples where it shows if you have the right strategies and you work hard, it's possible. And these are non-high income people. This is just, they did uncommon things that many people would think, hey, the game's against me, the system's against me. I have one client a friend who moved here from overseas, older age in life. And when he first managed to buy his first piece of real estate, small, low cost place, he rented out every bedroom.
Interesting.
He was a single guy, but that allowed him to not only live for free, but he was bringing in about 1,500 a month. Now, I
Wow.
saw it. I'm like, I don't know if I could live in that way. You know,
Right.
I was dating Tiffany at the time. She wouldn't have been okay with the whole
No.
thing, but in his mind, it was whatever it takes. And coming from a different country where that
Mhm.
was still a blessing for him. And point being is the opportunity was present. The American dream was still present. It
Yeah.
just took not being above that and figuring out how to make it work based on the income he had. And next thing you know, I think he's up to owning 7 pieces of real estate.
Wow.
um Another friend I know who, income until recently was never above 6 figures. uh First place he purchased was a three-family home, renting out the other 2 units, choosing to live in the smallest one.
Mhm.
And that got him ahead versus someone on that same course making the same income would say it's not possible any longer if they chose to take on high rent, high car payment, and not put themselves in the position to save any money. So
Mhm.
I loved your story there. And I think it boils down to mindset a lot for parents with how they're going to help their kids, teaching the kids about how to use the money we build up for them. Because
Mhm.
I think help could almost like sometimes the greatest strength is going through the trials and tribulations, right? So how do we help them still have that fire and drive if we're gonna being able to make it a little easier for them? And
Right. And it's
like,
easy to spoil them.
yep,
It's easy to spoil them. But yeah, it's interesting. I really appreciate that you said about mindset, right? Because really being abundant and having is a mindset, right?
yep,
And mixed with the right strategy, right? Knowing like that it's possible that you can have more, you can be ultra wealthy, right? And having someone like yourself in their corner where there is true strategy behind it and they believe in it makes the difference of someone saying they're against us. We're not meant to win. This is all I'll ever make. Or there's a lot of people that are big on pension,
yep,
right? Which is a great thing to have, right? Um, but there are people that live their life just looking forward to the pension and there's no other planning that goes into it. So, and what separates people from being, wealthy versus, just kind of run of the mill on income and retirement is seeing the bigger picture, like you said.
yep. No, this
You
is good.
reach you recently helped your mom purchase a home, right? And there's planning behind that for you and for her. Is that something worth
Yep.
talking about?
So one, Amanda, I want to say thank you because you played a big role in that and you
Oh.
did an amazing job. So yeah, that there was a lot of planning that went into that.
Mhm.
Certainly wasn't luck. Uh, like most things, one requires hard work from the get go. But it's been a dream of mine, a goal of mine, and was able to put plans in place to make it happen. So, uh, I think the key is again planning uncommonly. If I had been putting all my money into places that I couldn't access, just locking up all my money in accounts that I was only thinking about until age 60, which I'm
Mhm.
not saying is a bad thing, I wouldn't be able to then also use money in a way which one was able to help my mother.
Yeah.
Two is purchasing an asset in a good town.
Yep.
Um, and, three, giving me of something that I'm really happy about, right? Some
Yeah.
meaning and joy and all that great stuff. So the planning behind it was one, of course, choosing to not have short-term gratification and be saving money, investing money for
Mhm.
many years now, but also putting the money into a place that is liquid. So when I talk about financial strategies, I always mention that a good plan should have LLC, not in the way most people are thinking,
Okay. Tell us about that.
but L standing for liquidity,
Mhm.
access to money. L standing for leverage. Can you tap into those funds? Can you borrow against the accounts? We hear that all the time. The wealthy borrow their money. It's tax efficient. We can still grow our money while
Mhm.
utilizing it. And then C, control. So again, not to keep picking on 401ks, but who controls how much you can put in? Who
Right.
controls when you can get your money? Who controls how much can you borrow? Is it liquid? Can you leverage it efficiently? And the answer is no, where, the starting phase of that strategy was first having a goal, second, putting action steps in place, and third, then using the right tools so that money is growing, outpacing inflation, compounding. But then when I want to use it for another asset, in this case, you helping me find a place to purchase for my mom to retire in,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to tap into accounts in a strategic, tax efficient way and make it all happen.
Yeah. And I feel like I get a little choked up even thinking about it. It was so sweet because your mom had no idea you were planning to buy the house for her. And I remember when we went to closing, when I talked to your mom, you had shared it with her, and she was like, I remember she was crying, and she's like, Joe told me that he had this plan like his whole life, and she's like, I had no idea that that's what he was thinking, and you just like, boom, bought it for your mom. Like that's amazing.
Thanks,
That's
Amanda.
really like, and I think most people, right, that have good relationships with their parents would love to be able to buy their parents their retirement home.
Thanks, Amanda. And I agree. And that was such an important goal to me. And I find when I connect with my clients, most people have burning desire goals inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they don't even know it's possible. So part of the work when I'm trying to help people is one, pull those goals out and help them put a plan in place and realize that we can think uncommon and we can use uncommon strategies. Again, putting our money into proper places. So whether it's to buy a piece of real estate that also becomes a retirement account that
Mm-hmm.
perhaps is a short-term rental property that you get to go use at some point to get tax benefits from, and
Right.
all these sorts of ways that you can, on this short walk on earth, use our money strategically where we're building more wealth, we're enjoying it, we have access, and
Yeah, because it's true. I mean, they say money is like, money can't buy you happiness, but you know what? I think it does. It buys you peace of mind. It buys you access. It buys you leverage. Not having money is not happy, right? Struggling is not happy, but being abundant and having money, I think it does bring happiness, right? I mean, you have to have other good, other places are well in your life, but not having it is not happy. But having it is happy.
I agree. I think most people who have felt both sides
Yeah, yeah, I definitely have.
and, and
And I could say 100% life is easier with money.
with money,
Yeah.
and you're probably a happier person. You probably were a happy person already,
Mhm.
but it's happier and easier.
Yeah.
So, we agree at the deep root, you need to have values and
Yep.
be happy and with or without it. But yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's
When
like,
I was first starting out, my goal was, listen, I want to tell my daughter no to something because she hasn't earned it, not because I can't get it for her.
awesome. I love
Right?
that.
That was just always
That's a really
my
cool goal. I love it.
thank you. Thank you. Well, I have bigger ones now.
Nice,
We'll
nice.
discuss those. um If you could give every Monmouth County one piece of financial advice that would change their life in the next 20 years, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a super powerful question. So and it's almost I had a basketball coach I remember in fifth grade, and we probably all had this coach that always said foul shots and layups, they win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the truth with financial planning. So it's funny, like you and I were in here today, and not to pick on anyone because but the question I get this all, Joe, should I buy SpaceX? Should I throw it in the stock? Right? And they're fun questions,
Uh-huh.
and they're the wrong questions. And it's almost like the focus on the golf club and not the golf swing. What do I mean by that? You give me Tiger Woods' golf club, I'm still going to stink at golf. I don't play,
Okay.
right? But
Yeah.
you give him a terrible golf club, he's still going to be good because he has the right swing.
Yeah.
When it comes to money management, the swing is more important than the club, or in this case, the process is more important than the product. The
Mm-hmm.
sexy and fun thing to talk about is, are you buying Bitcoin? Are you throwing in SpaceX? Are you putting it in this stock? Are you throwing in that stock? What really needs to be talked about, are you saving the right amounts of money?
Mm-hmm.
Are you investing diligently? Do you have clear goals? Do you have a track that you're running on? And don't get me wrong, where you put your money is important.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the foul shots and layups in place and they're organized and focused, success is the only outcome. The products, the investments are then how fast do you move it? How much do you grow it? You combine the two together, it's super powerful. So my
Mm-hmm.
advice would be take money seriously, align yourself with the team, do good research, put a plan in place, and it all just keeps on getting better and better and better. And opportunities open up that you may have thought were never possible. and it just can create a lot of goodness.
For someone earning, let's say, more than $250,000 a year.
Yep. So that's a great question. And there's a few tips I could throw out there. I'm going to give you a good one that I find a lot of clients when I present it to them. For those whose heads are above water, they're putting away money. They've heard misinformation in many cases on this strategy, but it works tremendously well for responsible people who are earning good money, and especially if they have an entrepreneurial bone in their body. So the strategic use of life insurance, you have to design the plans properly. You have to work with a professional who knows how to utilize the policies. But if you understand how to use them, you can put money away with very similar tax benefits to a Roth, meaning the money can grow your equity inside of the policy. It can build equity for you without being taxed. So unlike a high yield savings account, like I meet with clients, they love their Goldman Marcus, and I'm not saying it's bad, but you're getting
I got golden market.
I actually do too, but you're earning the 3.5%, 4%, but at the end of every year they send you the 1099. You're earning good income in a state that has a decently high state tax as well, and you might be paying 3.8% too. People don't realize on net investment tax as well, and all of a sudden you're paying back 45% to Uncle Sam. So you're maybe really earning one and a half.
That's just on what you earned, not if you spent it?
Just on what you earn inside of that Marcus
So
account.
wait, so I didn't know that.
Yep.
So whatever grows inside of my Marcus account, because we were talking about this. My accountant has had it with me every year, but she still keeps me as a client. But thank God. But I didn't realize that on the interest that you've earned in that Marcus account, you're paying taxes on that whether you spent it or not.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yep. So it's like a snowball that's eroding every year. Now, to that point, which is, great, you're hardworking, successful, you got all this, you're busy, you're building this wealth in that account, and it's, you see, hey, I earned X, you get that statement at the end of the year, which you give to the accountant, which is a 1099, that goes on top of your income. So the example you gave, someone making $250, if they earned $15,000 of interest in their Marcus account, they get taxed like they made $265.
Oh.
So that tax, most likely, they're not pulling out of their Marcus account. They're probably either it's reducing what they would have gotten in a tax return and they don't even realize, or they're owing more tax at the end of the year. And you have to realize whenever you pay a tax, it's not just that tax that you're losing. It's what if that person owes an extra $4,000 in tax if they took that and put it into their ETF account that's been averaging them 10% compounded.
Right.
So when you look at the difference of an account that's getting eroded by taxation over 10, 20, 30 years versus if you can be in a structure where you have tax protection, it can be the difference of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over the long haul. So one of the best unknown strategies is that you can funnel money into a properly designed life insurance contract. All the money grows without being taxed. You're protected. In many states, you actually get creditor and lawsuit protection too, which is great. But then the beauty is you can use the money without losing the money. So this is what I mean as an example. And I've purchased real estate through using my life insurance policies. You build up equity in the policy. You have access to take a policy loan, no credit check, doesn't even show up on a credit report if you're borrowing directly from the insurance institution at a fixed borrowing cost if the policy's set up that way. And almost like having a mortgage on a house where if a home is worth $1 million and you owe $700,000, home goes up to $1.2 million in value. The mortgage had nothing to do with the house appreciating. It didn't stop it.
Right.
So if you have a loan on your insurance policy, let's say you have $100,000 of cash value, you borrow 50, you're still earning on 100 because you didn't take the 100 out. Just like having a mortgage on a house, your house is still growing in value.
Interesting.
And the beautiful thing behind this is you can access the capital for emergencies, opportunities, real estate investment, business opportunities. At the end of it all, you then have a death benefit that never disappears, and you ensure that you're going to leave behind a legacy to your family, and they receive that income tax free as well.
Wow. See, someone tried selling me whole life insurance years ago and I did not break it down that way.
Yep.
And I did it and then I didn't agree with it. So I did it for a couple of years. I'm like, I'm wasting money on this.
Yep.
And I stopped. So I'm going to have to talk to you
Awesome.
about that when this is over. But it's interesting, right? So, for example, you could pull, if you're a parent, right, that's concerned about your kids being able to buy a house, or not even concerned, you just want to be the one to help them buy in a few years.
Yep.
You have this whole life policy. You pull out the money even to give them a down payment. This money's still growing over here, and now
Yep.
you're able to help your children while you're still growing money on that account.
Exactly.
That sounds like a no-brainer.
It if you use it right and you understand it and you have the right team helping you with it, it is. If you don't know how to use it, if you use it wrong and the policy is designed incorrectly, and that's why people sometimes have a bad rap, they get a bad experience, and believe it or not, there's like hundreds, if not thousands, of ways you can design a life insurance
I
policy.
never knew that.
So it needs to be used properly, and you have to have a team that knows how to help you use it and use it as a tool. Otherwise, it becomes something where you're like, why am I putting money in this? I can throw it in the stock market or just,
That's how I felt.
Yep.
That's how I felt. But so that's interesting where you can structure out the life insurance policy. So it's not like, and not you can't go to any Joe Schmo, no pun intended, right? But to go to someone like yourself that really knows how to like how I would structure out a deal,
Yep.
understands how to structure out a policy to your burning goals, as you said, right? So
Yep.
you can't just log online or just random person calls you and tries to sell you a whole life insurance policy. They need someone like you that really looks at the nitty gritty and gets very granular
Yep.
on the goals and the details of where you want to be financially. That's awesome. That's awesome.
it's good stuff. It really is.
Good. Good. Well, Joe, thank you so much. This
Great.
was really like impactful, and I'm definitely going to be talking to you about a new whole life insurance policy. And I think this is really helpful for people that are watching as Monmouth County changes and people are, here and they're ready to, they're very responsible, very
Awesome.
responsible and looking to bring even more to themselves and their families. So where could the people find you, Joe?
Awesome. So you could check out my website, Fitzgerald Wealth Group. So www.fitzgeraldwealthgroup.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook. You check us out, and we'd love to connect.
So, and where can we find you on Instagram? What's your Instagram handle?
Fitzgerald Wealth Group.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amanda. You're the best. It's been great connecting with you, and thanks for
Aw.
having me on.
Thank you. Thank you. It's awesome having you here and being your neighbor.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.